There is an element that holds incredible power. It is an element that has shaped history in profound ways. For decades, its name was spoken in hushed tones, often associated with fear and immense destruction. This element is uranium. Today, however, a new story is being written about it. Investors around the world are starting to look at uranium not just as a historical curiosity, but as a potential cornerstone for their financial future. They see something beyond its complicated past. They see a commodity poised to play a critical role in the transition to clean, reliable energy. This essay is your guide to understanding that story and why this misunderstood element could power your portfolio. The mystique surrounding uranium is understandable. Its energy is born from the very fabric of the atom, a concept that can feel distant and complex. Unlike gold, which you can hold in your hand, or oil, which visibly fuels our cars, uranium's power is invisible. It is locked away, waiting to be released through nuclear fission. This process generates an astonishing amount of heat, which creates steam to spin turbines and produce electricity. The sheer density of this energy is what makes uranium so unique. A small pellet of uranium fuel, about the size of a gummy bear, can produce as much energy as a ton of coal. This incredible efficiency is at the heart of its growing appeal. For many years, the investment world largely ignored uranium. The market was seen as opaque, complicated, and haunted by the memory of nuclear accidents like Chernobyl and Fukushima. These events cast a long shadow over the nuclear industry, leading to public skepticism and a prolonged downturn in uranium prices. Many power plants were shut down and plans for new ones were shelved indefinitely. It seemed as if nuclear energy's moment had passed. But as the saying goes, the cure for low prices is low prices. The extended bear market quietly set the stage for a powerful recovery. It forced inefficiencies out of the system and created a supply landscape now struggling to keep up with renewed demand. Today, the whispers about uranium are growing louder, but the tone has changed. The conversation is no longer dominated by fear, but by necessity and opportunity. Governments, corporations, and even environmental groups are taking a second, more pragmatic look at nuclear power. They recognize that solar energy, while crucial, is intermittent. The sun doesn't always shine. And wind energy, while crucial, is intermittent. The wind doesn't always blow. Nuclear power, fueled by uranium, offers a constant, reliable, and carbon-free source of baseload electricity. This realization is fueling a global nuclear renaissance. As a result, savvy investors are beginning to position themselves for what could be a long and sustained bull market in the uranium sector. So, what exactly is this material that holds so much promise? Uranium is a naturally occurring element found in small amounts in rock, soil, and seawater. It is the heaviest of all naturally occurring elements, atomic number 92 on the periodic table. It is a dense, silvery white metal, weakly radioactive, not something you would want to carry in your pocket, but a fundamental part of our planet's geology. Discovered in 1789, its properties were not understood until the atomic age. The key to its power is an isotope called uranium-235. Most natural uranium, over 99%, is uranium-238. U-238 is relatively stable. U-235 is fissile. Its nucleus can be split when struck by a neutron. That splitting, fission, releases huge energy and more neutrons. Those neutrons can split other U-235 atoms, creating a chain reaction. Controlled chain reactions produce the heat used in nuclear reactors to make electricity. Because U-235 is so rare, uranium must be enriched. Enrichment raises U-235 from -0.7% to about 3.5% for reactors. Enrichment is complex and costly, a barrier to entry. Enriched uranium is fabricated into fuel pellets. Pellets are loaded into long metal rods. Rods are bundled into fuel assemblies, the reactor's core components. The journey from rock to fuel assembly is long and intricate. That complexity makes the uranium market intriguing for investors. It is not a simple commodity like copper or iron. The supply chain is long, highly regulated, and concentrated among a few specialized firms and countries. Demand is unique, driven by long-term utility planning. Utilities need secure, predictable fuel for decades. This creates a market where long-term contracts and supply security matter most. Understanding these traits is the first step to appreciating the investment thesis. The story of uranium in the public consciousness is a tale of two distinct eras. The first was defined by the Cold War, Following its dramatic debut at the end of World War II, uranium became synonymous with military power and geopolitical tension. The atomic bomb represented a new terrifying form of warfare. The global arms race between the United States and the Soviet Union was fueled by a frantic rush to mine and stockpile uranium. During this period, the element was seen primarily as a strategic military asset. Its potential for peaceful electricity generation was a secondary, though important consideration. This perception created deep-seated public anxiety around anything nuclear. Mushroom clouds, the threat of global annihilation. Pop culture reinforced these fears. Movies, books, disaster, mutation, dystopian futures, even peaceful applications were viewed with suspicion. Accidents at 3 Mile Island in 1979, Chernobyl in 1986. Chernobyl spread a radioactive cloud across Europe. It demonstrated the devastating consequences of a reactor meltdown. The world decided the risks were too great. For decades, that narrative held firm. The anti-nuclear movement gained political and social traction. Planned reactors were cancelled and existing ones shut down. Germany's decision to phase out all its nuclear plants is a prime example. Uranium demand stagnated and prices fell into a prolonged bear market. The industry's public image was in tatters. Few investors wanted anything to do with the sector. The Fukushima Daiichi accident in 2011, caused by a massive earthquake and tsunami, was another devastating blow. It reinforced the idea that nuclear power was inherently unsafe. However, a counter-narrative has emerged in recent years. Driven by the urgent crisis of climate change, the world must decarbonize its economy. The limits of other energy sources are becoming clearer. Building a modern society on intermittent renewables like solar and wind alone is an immense challenge. That realization has forced a re-evaluation of nuclear energy. Its ability to provide massive amounts of clean, reliable 24/7 power is now being seen as indispensable in the fight against climate change. The narrative is shifting from fear to hope. The renewed interest in uranium is not based on a single factor, but a powerful confluence of catalysts all coming together now. Analysts say it's the most compelling setup for uranium in a generation. The first and most important catalyst, the global push for decarbonization. Over 120 countries have pledged net zero by mid-century. That goal needs massive expansion of clean energy. Nuclear can deliver carbon-free electricity at scale. It works regardless of weather or time of day. So nuclear becomes essential. Second catalyst, energy security. Recent geopolitical events thrust this into the spotlight. The conflict in Ukraine exposed vulnerabilities in energy supply. Europe learned the danger of overdependence on Russian gas. Countries are scrambling for domestic and friendly energy sources. Nuclear, with long-lasting fuel and a stable profile, offers energy independence. A single uranium shipment can power a country for years. Contrast that with the constant flow of oil and gas tankers. Third, the supply side. The market is emerging from a decade-long bear after Fukushima. Prices fell below production costs worldwide. Exploration budgets were slashed, development projects were put on hold, existing mines were shut down. That created a structural supply deficit. Demand is now surging, but production is slow to respond. Restarting or building mines is capital-intensive and can take a decade or more. Finally, policy and opinion are shifting. Countries once anti-nuclear are reversing course. Japan is restarting idled reactors. France is committing to new builds. California kept Diablo Canyon open. China, India, the United Kingdom. Political support de-risks projects and gives utilities certainty. Rising demand, a crippled supply chain, and political tailwinds together are pulling uranium prices higher. Understanding the powerful macro-level trends is the first step. But for a potential investor, the journey doesn't end there. The uranium market has its own unique ecosystem, specific players, rules, risks. This essay will be your comprehensive roadmap, guiding you through essential details before investing. We'll move beyond the high-level narrative to the nuts and bolts of the industry. From the mine shaft, through processing, enrichment, and transport, to your brokerage account. Our goal, equip you with foundational knowledge to make informed decisions. Act 1. We'll dig into the fundamentals of uranium itself. Geology, where it's found, in what concentrations, and the history of its discovery and use. Act 2. We follow the supply chain from start to finish. Methods of mining, milling, and enrichment. How uranium is bought, sold, and transported. Act 3. The link between uranium and nuclear power in the clean energy transition. How a reactor works, in simple terms. Reliability, safety, low carbon footprint. Act 4. the practical investment thesis. Buying stocks of mining companies, ETFs, physical uranium trusts. We'll break down the pros and cons of each approach. Act 5. The risks you must confront. The risk of another nuclear accident, government regulation and permitting, public perception, and the inherent volatility of commodity markets. We will conclude by summarizing the key takeaways, offering a forward-looking perspective on trends that could shape a nuclear renaissance. By the end of this essay, you'll have a clear and balanced view of the opportunities and challenges of investing in the atom. Let's begin our journey with the fundamentals. What is uranium? At its core, uranium is a naturally occurring chemical element, just like oxygen, iron, gold. You can find it on the periodic table with the symbol U and the atomic number 92. This number is significant. Every atom of uranium contains 92 protons in its nucleus. That makes it one of the heaviest natural elements. In pure form, uranium is a dense, silvery white metal, about 70% denser than lead, so a brick of uranium would feel surprisingly heavy for its size. Despite its reputation, it's only weakly radioactive in its natural state. That radioactivity comes from the slow decay of its unstable atomic core over billions of years. Uranium isn't as rare as you might think. It's more common in the Earth's crust than silver or mercury. It's present in trace amounts almost everywhere. Rocks, soil, rivers, oceans. The challenge is finding uranium concentrated enough to mine economically. These concentrated deposits are the geological jackpots mining companies hunt for worldwide. Uranium was formed in supernovae, the explosive deaths of massive stars. Billions of years before our solar system existed, it was then incorporated into the dust and gas that formed Earth, making it a primordial component of our planet. The most notable characteristic, and the source of its power, is radioactivity. Its atoms are inherently unstable. Over vast time they spontaneously break down or decay. That decay releases energy and transforms atoms into other elements. The decay chain eventually ends with stable lead. This natural decay adds to Earth's internal heat, helps drive the movement of continents, and contributes to the planet's magnetic field. But the energy we use comes from a much faster event: nuclear fission. Fission is a rapid, controlled chain reaction we harness for power. For investors, remember, uranium is first and foremost a physical commodity. Its value comes from unique physical properties. Unlike a company stock, which represents future profits, uranium's price is driven by supply and demand for fuel. The investment thesis rests on one fact: this heavy metal can sustain a nuclear chain reaction, a capability no other accessible material can replicate commercially. That makes uranium indispensable for the nuclear power industry and a critical component of the world's future energy mix. Understanding this basic science is the first step to appreciating its market dynamics. The story of uranium's discovery begins long before humanity understood its atomic potential. The element was first identified in 1789 by German chemist Martin Heinrich Klaproth. While analyzing mineral samples from silver mines in what's now the Czech Republic, he found a strange, heavy substance inside a rock called pitchblende. He isolated a yellow compound, believed to be the oxide of a new element. Klaproth named it uranium, nodding to the recent discovery of the planet Uranus by William Herschel. For over a century it stayed a scientific curiosity. In the 19th century, uranium had limited use. Its main application was as a colorant in glass and ceramics. Added to glass, uranium oxide creates a yellow hue or a green hue and fluoresces under UV light. Vaseline or uranium glass became popular for tableware. It was a niche market, demand tiny. No one imagined the power inside its atoms. Everything changed in 1896. French physicist Henri Becquerel was experimenting with uranium salts, studying phosphorescence. He thought sunlight made them glow. By chance he left salts on a photographic plate wrapped in black paper. When developed, the plate showed an image of the crystals, though never sun-exposed. He deduced uranium emitted invisible penetrating rays. This was the first observation of natural radioactivity. Becquerel's work opened atomic research. His work inspired Marie Curie and Pierre Curie. They isolated polonium and radium from pitchblende. Their research founded atomic physics. From Becquerel's foggy plate came scientists like Enrico Fermi and Robert Oppenheimer. They unlocked nuclear fission decades later. A quiet German lab discovery set off a chain of events that would redefine warfare, geopolitics, and our quest for energy, transforming uranium from a coloring agent into the most powerful substance on Earth.